I'd like to call this meeting of the Lakota Board of Education to order. Adam, will you please call the roll?
Mr. D?
Here.
Ms. Casper?
Here.
Ms. French?
Here.
Mr. Horton? Ms. Schaefer?
Here. I'd like a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Adam, please call the roll.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Mr. D?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes. All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Board President's comments. I'd just like to welcome everyone and thank everyone who was able to join us out for the reception out front. Mr. Horton wishes he could be here, but he is on a family vacation, so we hope that he's enjoying his time this evening. With that, for Dr. Lawley's superintendent comments.
Thank you. I'd like to review very briefly with the board some of our preliminary data, and I stress the word preliminary. It will not be finalized until September as usual, and we will not have our growth data until around that point in time. But I am going to share with you some MAP growth data, which we hope will be reflected in the Ohio State testing data whenever that comes out. Right now, the achievement component, which is about 28.8% of the overall rating, we've increased the performance index by 1/4 of a point, which doesn't sound like much, but it helps us move forward in a positive way. And we aren't counting at this point in time. The reason we were able to move forward like that is we're not counting 374 8th grade physical science students scores that aren't included this year. They were included before because they were taking physical science, and now they're not included, so we were able to increase that score because we weren't including that in there now because they're not doing that at this point. So it equates right now, the PI equates to a 4-star at this point in time, which is the same as we received last year. But it went up slightly because those students are no longer included in that tally. The progress component, which is 28.6 of the overall rating, is based on the value-added calculation, which we're waiting for in September. That's the growth piece. They may come in late August, but typically they're September timeframe. We received 2 stars last year, and in looking at our MAP data, we think we'll be better than that. So we're hopeful that that will be 3 to 4 stars this coming this coming report card, but we'll have to wait and see. In the gap closing component, which is 14.3% of the rating, we have 1 less point in the area than we had last year. There were 3 areas that haven't been reported yet that could help that score. They're gifted progress, math progress, and ELA progress, which make up a total of 23 points. If we get 6 or more points, we'll receive 5 stars in that area, which is 1 more than last year. So these are all guesstimates and estimates at this point. The graduation rate component, which is 14.3% of the total rating, the district had increased the 4-year graduation rate from 94.6 last year to 95.3% this year. And this is a rating of 4 stars, which is the same as we got last year. The early literacy component, which is 14.3% of the total rating, the district will have the same rating of 3 stars as we did last year. I think with the new programmatic pieces that have been in place and the DIBELS assessments that we've put in place, you can expect hopefully to see that go up next year. Once they've been fully implemented for a full year, you should be able to see some positive growth in that area. And then the overall rating, if the district receives an average of average to good progress rating, those value-added scores we've talked about, we'll move from a 3.5 to a 4. And if we do really well in the growth area, we could actually go as high as 4.5 stars. So right now, most of our schools in the achievement area, many of our schools in the elementaries went up. And we're hoping that those 3rd through 6th grade scores will positively affect the overall report card. In our secondary schools, we had some varied movement back and forth, and I had sent those preliminary results to you earlier, so you could see that we are moving back and forth on that. But overall, I think that the focus on achievement and on growth is going to help the report card this year. And like I said, the MAP data that we have, we went up from last year in every grade level in language arts, in math, except in 7th grade. And we did not go up in our growth in 7th grade. In our language arts, because the numbers of students that were tested were different numbers, we still made some significant growth in our language arts areas as well. So I think that will be the harder one to grow, but I think you'll see that progress occur in the next year or two for language arts. But we are close in some of those areas with our MAP, meeting or exceeding the growth indicator, especially in math. So
Great.
I'd like to just share that and point out and thank the staff, thank the curriculum department, now pupil services department, because they worked very closely with our students with disabilities and made sure that they were part of all this instructional practice that we did. Professional development staff and the teaching staff and the principals, the administrative team, really focused in on making sure that we were doing what we needed to do to focus in on academic achievement as well as our growth indicators. So I think you'll see some progress in the next 2 years for sure, and we're hopeful that we'll see some significant progress with our growth, especially in August or September.
Great. Any questions? And haven't you said that growth number is it a 3-year average that we look at? So, or am I remembering that incorrectly?
The growth is, it will be an average over the last 2 years.
Okay, 2 years.
Yeah, so we're carrying some of the old growth number with us. So that's why I said in 1 to 2 years, you're going to
Yeah.
see, especially if we make progress this year, you'll see some significant changes in the 2nd to 3rd year.
Great. All right. Anything else? Hearing nothing, Mr. Zink.
The turf
Oh, is that when I do that?
and then superintendent reports.
Okay.
Okay.
I apologize. We are in the process of looking at some facilities, things that have been in the long-term planning for a while, and one of those things is building an extra turf field at both of our main high school campuses. And at this time, I'd like to ask Scott Kaufman to come forward, and Rob Burnside is also here. The athletic director for East is on vacation this week, but Mr. Burnside is here representing East, and Scott Kaufman is here representing West. So I'd like to have Scott come forward and talk briefly about what this looks like. Please understand that no bids have been put out there, no project has been approved. This is something that was on the long-range plan from several years ago, and it's now the actionable time for that project because of that long-term planning. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Kaufman. Thank you both for being here, representing both high schools.
Oh, absolutely. Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Lally, Mr. Zink, very much appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk about this because, like Dr. Lally said, this is something that's been, on the radar for about 8 or 9 years, been something that we've spoken very detailed about going back 6 years. If you understand, turf in itself goes back about 20 years now, which is kind of amazing when you think about it. Most schools are in their 2nd generation of turf. And what's been interesting as the technology has improved and costs have become what they were, it's actually become more of a standard than when they first came out and they were considered a luxury. And we're at a point now where I think, and this is the conversations that we have, where a second turf field has really become the standard. If you look at the Greater Miami Conference, which is the conference in which we compete, there's currently 5 schools that have 2 turf fields, 1 school that's in the process that's going to break ground as soon as the fall, end, to where we're just at that point where if we want to compete at a high level, we want to have the best facilities we can for our student athletes. And the biggest part is the aspects of now we're going to be able to get kids out earlier. With having one turf field, we're literally having practices till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. By having a second field, we're going to be able to cut that down by a couple hours and actually get kids home at an earlier hour. It'll provide some additional opportunities for our communities. Obviously, right now, Tomahawks use Lakota East and Lakota West at great lengths, and they'll be able to have 2 games at a time versus just 1. And so the opportunity is that it becomes good for Lakota, not just our student athletes, but our entire community. And I've been in some communications with Westchester Township about some other projects, and they talk about the aspects of us having top-notch facilities as an attraction for people to come to Westchester. And so we just want to continue to build on that. The aspects of what makes the timing appropriate now, because you think, we started the conversation about 6 years ago for the replacement of the turf that happened back in 2000. And there were some really intense conversations with Chris Passards and the administration back at that point about the need for a second field, looking at the schools that have them, which if you look in the GMC, Mason, Sycamore, Middletown, Oak Hills, Princeton's the one that's about to break ground, and so the schools without a second turf field right now are Lakota, Colerain, and Hamilton. And so the standard being the fact of having two turf fields is really something that we want to be a part of. Timing-wise, what makes now appropriate is the aspects, because we talked about just doing 4 fields 6 years ago. Little concerned about how a treasurer might look at the aspects of having to replace 4 fields in one given year. So we thought by waiting to that 5th year, we would be in a cycle that on a budgetary level could be better planned for. And that's what brings us to this date. What our hope would be is that we move forward with it to where we could break ground at the end of the fall, be ready for our spring season for lacrosse, and then be full steam ahead come the fall, which is our highest usage. And by doing that, then we're in this rotation of every 5 or 6 years versus the aspects of piling on, because every year we wait, you're just closer to having that bigger expenditure in a sooner amount of time. So I can talk about turf for hours, and I know that's the last thing in the world you want to do. So what I'd like to do, and again, I appreciate Mr. Burnside being here. Jill wanted to be here, but well-earned break to be on a beach down in Hilton Head, so I'm jealous of her at this moment. But this is one of those things that's really positive for Lakota. And I'll be honest, full disclosure, we get a lot of questions about, why is West set up with, the stadium field and then the press box and then the soccer field. And that actually goes back to the beginning when Lakota first made the decision to split schools. It was the urging of the East staff and the East coaches to maintain the Hopewell Field, which was the original Lakota soccer site. And so they put money into the aspects of getting that facility more up to date, and that was primarily the East soccer field for several years. In fact, when I first got here, 2012, it was still being used. It's only been in the last 6 or 7 years, through a change of coaches, change in administration, and things like that, that they basically have abandoned Hopewell. And so there's no doubt, as a matter of phases, it's going to take some time to get East to be in a position where it can be more than a practice facility. Every conversation that Mr. Bryant and I had with Mr. Passards going back 6 years to the conversations Jill and I have had this year has been, East is focusing on wanting that second practice facility where they can get kids out early, get them on a safe surface, and be able to move forward. Understanding that as part of their construction project, it's going to be making sure we rough in for lights, rough in for bleachers, so those can be done in phases. But those are phases that are likely part of the bigger facility planning thing. So all those things are things we've talked about, things level and the things that I do, that's the best that I can offer.
Okay. Then
May I add something? The turf field was put onto a kind of a long-range planning document, and when we were working through budgets and things like that, that came up as one of the things that is supposed to be funded at this point in time. It's kind of a year over. It was supposed to be funded last year, and it wasn't brought forward last year at that point in time. So with it being on that long-range athletic complex plan, I felt that we probably needed to bring it forward and see, because the turf is starting to age, and you don't want to be at the position where you're replacing several turf fields at the same time. So you want it on a rotating cycle. We know that we need the second turf field. We just don't want to put it in at the same time that you're replacing the original turf fields on our football stadiums. So that's why I brought it forward for the board's consideration.
Okay. Then that leads me to the next question. Is that going to be one for each high school, or is it going to be one that we need now?
It would be one for, what we've asked for is one for each school. So we would take the existing soccer facility at Lakota West and convert that to turf. And then basically a similar setup at Lakota East. You have the stadium, you have their field house and their bleachers. They have the green space behind that to be able to put in a second turf field. And then again, with a phase-in plan for adding lights and bleachers at a later date.
Okay. Then my next question is, even though it was mentioned before that no contract was awarded, but at least we know what is the estimate for each.
So, and when we started having our conversations this year with Dr. Lally and Mr. Zink, that was the first question that is asked is, what's the ballpark figure? So what we've done, we've had a really good relationship with a local company, Moats Group, who did the original turf at the stadium. They did the replacement turf. They're local. We have them on speed dial. I can call them in the morning with a turf repair, and they're out by noon to fix it. So I was able to call them and say, okay, we're in preliminary conversations. I need a budgetary number. And so the information that was shared with you was basically, it's a rough number. I mean, that's without having the details of, what hidden gems are underneath the ground that they're not aware of. It's just a rough estimate to be able to decide, do we move forward with going into details with an architect and a bid plan.
So I didn't hear any number.
It was emailed to you.
Huh?
There was an email. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
When? Last week?
Monday?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I tried. Okay, I'm not done. I'm not done. Okay. I may have seen this, but I didn't even know what. Okay. Quickly, let me not take too much time. Then the next will be, how long will it take to complete?
Once you break ground, put a shovel in the ground, you're looking at about a 6 to 8 week process. The nice part of, and this is what we talked about by waiting till the end of the fall, if that's what we decide. Right now is their busiest time of year. So the aspects of the availability of contractors come November, we're also kind of crossing our fingers, hoping that there might be an opportunity for a little bit of cost savings because it's not their rush time. My goal would be if we started the bid process in August or September with the intent that we could break ground in November or December, then you're somewhat weather restricted a little bit. I remember the first time we put in a turf field at Princeton, we literally lost 45 days to rain. There's certain things we can't control, but if weather cooperates, it's a 6 to 8 week process.
Thank you. I saw this actually, but I didn't know what it is, and I just flipped through and I.
Fair enough.
Because I know I'm like, if this is very important to somebody, the person is going to take care of it. So I didn't. I saw this. Okay, then my final, maybe final question. I'm asking this because if anybody asks me questions,
of course,
I should be ready to answer them. So why we have a lot of projects that I know are very important right now. Let me hold on to that. I'll hold on to that final question.
Christina?
I actually only have one question. Can you talk a little bit more about, you mentioned building the field for East that's not already there and the field that's behind the stadium without lights and bleachers. how are we going to play without lights and bleachers? I'm wondering, when is the completion of this project going to happen that makes it a usable space if we spend the money to put it
The
in?
conversations that we've had to date, which, Jill and prior to Jill, Mr. Bryant, the aspects of what they're focusing on right now is a practice facility, which from 3 o'clock, especially in the fall, from 3 o'clock to 8:30 or 9 is usable. It would not, and they've been able to schedule things to where they primarily use the stadium field for competition. So the night stuff gets moved over to the stadium and they get all the daylight things done on the practice field. So it's just a matter of, the sooner those things get done is certainly a bonus. There's no doubt about it. But from the aspects of what Ms. Meyering and they're trying to accomplish is right now they just need the second field to be able to get kids out earlier.
Thank you.
Ideally, as Scott said, and to echo that, we want to get that competition ready as much as possible, as soon as possible. However, we understand that there's other logistics that we have involved. It still would be a Saturday afternoon, no different than a field at VOA, would be available. We can have temporary bleachers, we can have things like that in nature, so it could be used for limited competition until that second phase or the final steps of lighting and things of that nature. Permanent bleachers could be put in. But ultimately, it would provide that second practice space, because right now, all practice and all games have to take place within our stadium, and teams who don't play on grass don't necessarily want to practice on grass. So it becomes a scheduling nightmare to try and make sure that everybody has access that they need.
Thank you. I don't think I had quite wrapped my mind around these are practice fields that are, I think I missed that word in our proposal.
Yeah, I think Scott talked, it would be competition ready because the infrastructure is present at West right now. They use that grass field for competition currently. Historically, East is behind the gun a little bit, admittedly, because our second competition field was off-site at the time that the facilities were originally created.
And wasn't part of that field was also fundraised for with the field that's at West as well, in memory?
Yeah, I don't remember all the details,
Yeah.
but I know that's been a field that's been competition ready for as long as you've been around. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kelly?
So we're talking about making the soccer field at West a turf field. And
We would do soccer and lacrosse.
soccer,
would
could
be
you play in the
primary
same
use.
place?
I'm sorry?
Could you play in the same field over there, soccer and lacrosse? Or do you play in the stadium?
So lacrosse has been 100% in the stadium.
Okay.
Which is, their average crowd's 300 or 400 people, so it ends up creating excessive cleanup because
Right.
they spread out and they don't need to. So we'd be able to isolate them more in a tighter area. But
So your
we'd be able
second,
to do permanent lines
Okay.
on the soccer field.
so that would be soccer and lacrosse, and then the field, they would have to build a field at East, which would be a practice field to start, and then it would convert to a competition field soon after. Are we
Yeah,
talking?
practice field's probably not the right word for me to
I
use.
know,
mean,
'cause
it's gonna
it
be
sounds like a lot of money for a
competition size
practice
and ready to
field, yeah.
go.
Other-
It's just every conversation that Jill and I have had has been the aspects of they need a place where they can practice right now, and that's been her focus.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Are we talking about doing this at the same time?
It can be done that way, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I don't mean to overstep. I mean, at the end of the day, Moneybags is going to make that, I guess, come up with that solution. But from
He's pointing at you,
the
Kelly.
vendor side from the vendor side of things, they could do, well, when we did the replacement, they did the two fields simultaneously. Usually they'll use similar crews that, when we did the replacement, the tear out crew came to one site, got done there, went to the other site, then they do it in phases. And so yes, it could be done at the same time.
Would this help us with, could it be revenue generating because it now makes us more marketable to do other tournaments in our facility?
Yeah, I mean, you look back to, I think when Stu made the big push to add the first turf fields,
Right.
20 years ago, there is a revenue source from it.
Right.
I believe that this would increase that. I mean, I know there's a question mark of, like, for Tomahawks, is it going to double their usage or is it going to cut their time in half? That's kind of an unknown.
Right.
But the simple fact of the matter is we're sending people away because of the schedule. So I think there is. It's just really hard to quantify that.
Right.
I look at it more from the aspects of it's just the opportunity to be able to provide our community another opportunity to come on campus and use the facilities.
And what's best for kids. We
Correct.
don't want our kids going home at 9:30 and then having to do 2 hours worth of homework.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, my follow-up question, that's with your question, I think it gives me a little bit of direction. The return on investment is probably increase our opportunity to get tournaments in our properties. And another one is to release kids on time. Okay? So roughly, I know I saw this before, I didn't look at it, but we're looking at 3.4 million as
I think that's
as a
reasonable.
projection.
I think that's fair. You know, the total combined, I think if I remember, I think one was priced out at 1.6 and one at 1.5. But that's without unknowns, you know, and that's what, you know, I think those numbers are conservative, but they don't take into account some things that we might choose to do. For example, if you've been to Lakota West soccer field, you know, you come into the main stadium, you go through the Commons Gate. If you're on the visitor, you're walking through around a gravel path. You know, my recommendation would be that we cement that. Okay, so that number, which when you're talking about that kind of project, is not an excessive number, but it's not in that number. So it's really a matter of being able to get the initial okay to say, yeah, let's get the architect, let's put the final plans together, let's talk about how the lines are going to look and how it's going to be shaped and how it's going to be set up and how wide are we going to go, you know, the whole 75 yards wide for a soccer field, or are we going to cut it back to 68 yards like the other one? We can dig more into those weeds. That would be the appropriate time to do that is once we get the support to want to move forward with it.
Yeah, so this is my personal opinion, okay? Because it's going to be a tough sell, except you give us all that the return on investment will be and how it's going to help us be able to sell that. Because I know right now from what I'm hearing, returning kids early is a good thing, but that's what we've been doing. So I look forward to seeing what you're going to bring.
So I think at this point, we wanted to have this preliminary discussion because, as Dr. Lawley mentioned, this has been in the plan for a significant period of time. We want to make sure that the timing is such that we don't end up having to do all of this simultaneously. And if we continue to defer this, that has the potential for happening. So we don't have a lot of the details at this point, but before investing any more time and energy into this plan, they wanted to bring it forward and we wanted to present it to the board so we would know, is this something they should continue to explore given these very rough parameters? Do we want to get a more tied down, clear picture of what this would look like, or is this something that the board is not even interested in entertaining at all, and don't waste any more of your time? So our objective tonight is it the will of the majority of the board to continue to explore this as an opportunity for our students? So if everyone could give that feedback, I think that would be helpful. So Christina, I don't know if you want to start, if you would like to continue to explore this.
I would.
Okay.
I support that.
Yeah, I'm interested in it, but I need more information and the return on investment, then we can make a decision on.
Yeah, I'm interested in exploring also.
All right, as am I. So I think that what you're hearing is that we would like you to continue and actually go into more depth so that we can have firm numbers to look at this and make that decision. And we appreciate you bringing this preliminary thought to us so that we could weigh in before anyone spent too much time and went too far down the rabbit hole. So thank
Appreciate the
you.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Dr. Lawley, thank you for a wonderful year. Appreciate you.
All right. Anything else, Dr. Lally?
Yes, I need to correct myself. I said 7th grade. We didn't see that growth in math. It was 6th grade.
Oh.
Oh,
If I would put my
Okay.
glasses on, I would be better off.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Zink?
So tonight is the big finish for the fiscal year, so I'm going to save a lot of my comments till the very end. We'll have appropriations, final and temporary coming up, fund-to-fund transfers, school fees, high checkbook, dental,
All kinds of fun stuff.
and a then and now. So yeah, we have all kinds of fun stuff, and hopefully I won't take up too much time. So we'll wait until that point in the meeting.
All right, and now we move to recognitions, where we would like to thank Dr. Lawley for her service and all that she has done for Lakota. Adam, do you want to start this?
Sure.
You want to start the?
I can't believe that it's already been a year. I mean, I think I said that this time last year, but this has been a very quick year. I've enjoyed our time working together. I'm glad that you took the opportunity to come work with us, and appreciate all the things that you've done and all the mentoring you've done with me also. So thank you for that.
Kelly?
You jumped into a hornet's nest, and we appreciate that. It was not easy to step into what we had going on here, so we do appreciate you coming in. And we appreciate you doing the job and not just coming in as an interim and hanging out and, you know, collecting a paycheck. We appreciate that you jumped in. But honestly, more importantly, I mean, I know you're not really retiring, but 46 years, 46 and a half years, devoting your life to public education is quite a feat. And I think for that, you should really be celebrated. That's a lot of years in public education. So from all of the students that you have worked with in 46 years, I think we would like to thank you. And we do have a little something for you from the board, so when you, and Adam, the board and Adam.
And Adam.
And Adam.
Isaac?
Yes, Dr. Lally, like Adam said, how fast this time went. It's like yesterday we're coming in and we're ready. I just want to add to what Dr. Diane White has said this evening. She used the best words to describe what your impact has made in our district. Because the time you came, we were in a very, very bad shape. And few weeks into your coming in, I started getting responses and people making comments, parents talking to me, and I think I shared that with you. You stepped up in many areas, music and all kinds of areas that we needed help. And the noise we had with your stepping in helped us in calming things down. So I just want to say thank you. I don't have enough words to use today, but I want to borrow from Dr. Wider's statement this evening to add to my own verbs to say thank you. And I wish you the best. And I believe that the future is still going to be great for you, even though you're retiring. Thank you.
Christina?
Thank you, Dr. Lally. I appreciate what you've done for our district, specifically turning the focus back to our students and the important things that are happening in the classroom and not all of the other noise that we lived in for a long time. I feel like our community had an opportunity to get back to focusing on what's important by your updates and things that you shared, the videos that you made. And I feel like as a school district, our teachers felt supported. I think they felt like they were like rising from the trenches of a really hard time. So I appreciate your leadership in that, and I wish you the best of luck.
Once again, it's hard when you go last, because everyone said so much. Again, Diane Wider had say a lot of great things, and
Have her come to the mic and read
I
it.
know we should have her come and read her statement. We are very fortunate to have the BASA Superintendent of the Year fill in as our interim, and in a time where, as has been stated, we were essentially on fire. You were willing to run into that fire and do what you could because you knew the kids of Lakota needed somebody to lead and fill in and step in the gap when we were having a hard time moving forward. So thank you for that. I feel like we've had years where our teachers have been clamoring for curriculum and not having to reinvent the wheel in every classroom and wanting additional materials, and you put your money where your mouth is and made that investment, and not just having to make them create their own, but actually investing in that high quality material because you knew that would have a positive impact. And to Kelly's point, public education's hard. It's hard to continue to fight that fight, even if I know your spirit is to do it because you want to do what's best for those kids. So thank you for continuing that one extra year to fight the fight for all of Lakota's nearly 18,000 students. And we're appreciative of all that you did to make those hard decisions and those tough calls that weren't always easy, particularly as an interim. So we wish you the best in whatever that next phase will look like, and as it continues to evolve to a long and illustrious retirement, wherever that may be. So.
Adam told me I wasn't allowed to be emotional. I'm typically not emotional, as most of you know, except behind closed doors. I become emotional about things, but I just want to thank you for the opportunity that was provided here. And I want to thank the administrative team. Those that supported the work that we were doing have made a great difference for our students. And I want to thank the parents that were supportive as well, and the community members that were supportive as well. A lot of people have reached out over the course of the year and talked about different things, and that's been very encouraging. We're focused on students, we're focused on what's best for our students here in Lakota. And I just want to thank you for the work that you do every day. And it's been a pleasure. Adam is now my favorite new treasurer. You moved someone out that I had worked with for many years, but he's not going to tell him that.
I did consult with him to get some pictures from Barberton for the presentation.
Yeah.
So there are some in there.
I noticed some old pictures up there, yes. But I want to thank you. 46 and a half years, I've had a very blessed career, and I've worked with a very, very large number of great people, and many, many, many students who touch my heart each and every day. So it's bittersweet for me, but I'm looking forward to what's next, even though it's not full retirement, Kelly.
I know.
But I am looking forward to what's next, and I just want to thank the Lakota community, Lakota parents, Lakota students. I have touched my heart even in this short period of time, and Lakota staff and administrative team and the Board of Education. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is a hard transition. We're going to go right to Butler Tech. So the exciting newsletter that's Kelly's favorite all the time. We had a relatively short Butler Tech meeting. We focused once again a lot on construction at Butler Tech and what is happening with building the new facilities and being on time with that. Butler Tech was excited to have House Bill 432 pass, which allowed for alternate licensure for career tech. That becomes a bit of a challenge right now. For example, with welding teachers, you have somebody who's strong in industry, and they have to go through full teacher's licensure in order to just teach that welding class, and they're trying to look for more flexibility with some of those specialty areas of how they might have alternate pathways to allow those professionals to get in the classroom and do what they do best. Also, welding was added to the capital budget, that they're going to be able to increase their capacity for the welding students at Butler Tech based on money from the capital budget. So we're appreciative of that. And I think that was it for Butler Tech. With that, Community Engagement Committee?
Can I do community engagement and policy at the same time?
You may.
Because they kind of went hand in hand. For both community engagement and policy, we met, I think, a couple Fridays ago. And for community engagement, we are going to spend some time late summer, early fall, getting ready for topics for community conversations. But the big thing that we discussed is the state has told districts that you must have a cell phone policy. They haven't told you what the policy should be, of course, just that you have to have one. So we talked both in policy and in community engagement about how we're going to go about getting some feedback. We're probably going to do maybe a thought exchange, but also a community conversation on parents, on what they feel like they might want to see in a cell phone policy. Again, we have to have one, has to go in effect in July of '25. They don't tell you what it has to be. They just tell you that you have to have one. So we are going to spend some time this year gearing up for that, both in policy and community engagement. They sent us a sample policy-ish about what they think might go in it. But again, nothing very concrete, just you have to have one and we're not telling you what it is. So we are going to spend some time getting some feedback from our community and our parents especially, and our students, to see what that might look like.
Great. All right, Finance Committee. I will speak to that. Adam presented many of the things he's going to be presenting in our finance update with the year-end close. So I don't feel like we really need to talk too much because you're going to go over all of that in your financial presentation. So we will just key that onto when we get to the treasurer's fiscal year-end presentation.
Sounds good.
And then we have a traffic update and safety update where we have Mr. Passarge coming up to speak to us.
Good evening. I wanted to give the board an update. I know the board, the superintendent, have received numerous calls, emails about the incident that occurred last month with our student Aspen in the crosswalk over by Lakota East freshman. Though Lakota does not have jurisdiction over the roads, doesn't mean that we have student safety as one of our top priorities. So the district has always had great relationships with both townships, both law enforcement agencies, and the Butler County Engineer's Office. And they have all agreed to have a meeting on July 15th where we have all those parties in one room to talk about not only the crossing of East Freshman, but all the school zones and crosswalks that are in and around our schools throughout the district. So we can talk about safety with fidelity across all aspects of schools. So we'll look at each school individually and talk about, are there things that could be done to improve safety, crossings, school zones. So again, though we don't have jurisdiction, they've always been great partners with us, and they're willing to hear the concerns we have, concerns that our community have, and maybe we can work on solutions together to improve safety in and around the school zones. One of the things that they always tell me when I have meetings with them is, you know, even though it's in a school zone, school's only in session 170 plus days a year, so that crossing or whatever area needs to be safe for pedestrians 365 days a year. So they always have that in mindset, as a mindset when they're looking at school zones and safety zones, that again, it can be used outside of those times of day. So they want to make sure those zones are safe 365 days a year. So that will be the process and conversations we will have. So we encourage anybody who hasn't already contacted the board or superintendent to reach out, let us know what ideas they have, and we can take that to the discussion table on July 15th.
All right.
Thank you.
Does anyone on the board have any feedback or thoughts for Chris that they'd like to share?
I'm glad that you have a date on the books. I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah, and we'll have representatives from each jurisdiction. As you know, the roads are all different. Some are managed by the township, some
Right.
are managed by the engineer's office, some are managed by the State Route 747. So there's a bunch of different players that have jurisdictions over the roads. Lakota does not, but we want to be a great partner and look at opportunities to make our school zone safer if possible.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you for the update. I know it's a concern to the community, and for you to bring this forward, the action that is in the table is great. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for making this a priority.
And we had Aspen's family members, some of Aspen's family members were here before the meeting and shared a letter that I will scan in and share with the board, just of their concern and some of the research they've done. And one of the things that was shared with me that was powerful was that every 5 students a week are killed in a school zone. And so this is definitely an issue that, you know, we need to focus on and make sure that we continue to give it attention. And so that we do not have to have any family member having a service for their student because something like this happened. Clearly a tragic accident, but anything we can do to mitigate those circumstances, we appreciate the help in doing that, so. Any other feedback?
And once we have the meeting, I'll bring back feedback and the results from that meeting and some of the things we discussed. We can provide an update after that meeting as well.
And like the community, if anybody else has any feedback for Chris, I know I have a couple things that I'd like to, that I'll probably email you to share some thoughts, so
That'd be
feel
great.
if everyone could do that.
Great. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. All right, Mr. Zink, your time to shine. Here
All
you
right.
go.
You guys been waiting on me to wake up the crowd. Okay, so this is the big financial meeting as mentioned earlier. This is where we have all of our approvals put in place and everything ready to go to end fiscal year 24. Our fiscal years in the schools, they go from July 1st all the way back around to June 30th each year. So it makes our calendars run a little tricky because we have to follow calendar years for payroll and fiscal years and contract years and insurance years and every kind of year you could imagine. So this is as we're ending the fiscal year, we're going to give a little bit of an update so that everybody can find out where we've landed. So I know this may be a little hard to see. We're going to speak about the general fund. In the general fund, we brought in a total revenue this year of $210 million. That was 0.1% less than we had projected. Total expenditures came in at $210 million, which was 0.1 less than projected. So the anticipation is building as we get through this presentation for the famous did we balance the budget that we always have every year. So ending cash balance projected to still be right on the $116 million mark, which did stay largely on target with our estimates that we had for the year. Another thing that I would like to note, because this has not been quite as hot of a topic this year, but we were down dramatically in our public record requests this year. We went from 300 last year down to 80 this year.
80.
So that was wonderful news for all that, we enjoy sharing the transparency of what the community needs to see or would like to see, but it also has to be managed within the daily work as well. So that was not, we're happy for that. Now we have the appropriations. For the appropriations, you can see that we ended the year total. This is overall the general fund. That's what we reference in the forecast. That ended up general fund, then we have the bond retirement, the permanent improvements, and then total overall, those really make up the big. We had $291.6 million overall, general fund making up just $210 million of that. So for fiscal year 25, at this time, we follow the 5-year forecast that we had in May. That is kind of our roadmap that we use to get 25 off of the ground. In 25, we're projected right now to be at $298.5 million, which is a just under 3% increase year over year. So as we can see that even though we have seen a lot of inflation, we're still projecting. However, we will have a permanent appropriation that comes through in October. The breakout of what is captured within the general funds right there, that does have a portion that lands, it's mapped into our general fund and the bond retirement fund for those general funded debts. We do pay those out of the debt service fund. Okay, so the next step for the fiscal year. So we finalized the appropriations. We finalized the temporary appropriations. We have to have temporaries in place in order to release checks by law. So if we don't have a budget in place, then it would be illegal to send any checks out of the door. So with a July 5th payroll, that would be very critical that we have that in place to keep our staff pleased. Also, we do budget to the fund. A lot of schools will budget to the fund level only. We here budget to the fund object level. That helps us to see the budget within the 5-year forecasted parameters. So it kind of keeps our reporting mechanisms kind of in the same line. Although forecast is only a general fund, we do that with every fund here. So we will be approving the temporary appropriations for fiscal 25, the permanent or final appropriations for fiscal '24 year we're just ending. We also have fund-to-fund transfers in advance. We are not allowed to do a transfer advance from one fund to the other without a board approval. So that's where we make our transfers for things like the athletic funds for the portion that the parents didn't pick up, over to the student, some student activities for the club card, things of that nature will go through there. Also, we did have an advance. We had forecasted we would do a transfer over to the severance fund. That was newly set up this year to begin. We're going to do an advance so that we can continue to manage that year over year and juggle that back and forth. Also, we will have the fees that we have projected for the upcoming year on this agenda tonight as well. So once we get through that, tonight's meeting will end, and then tomorrow, the first thing we will do is we will send copies of these over to our county auditor so they have these files on hand. That's where they'll also monitor to make sure that we're not overspending or getting out of line, things that they need to stay in the loop on, or potentially for an advance of tax revenue if that needed to be, which we don't need that. And then once we do close fiscal '24, then we will send a tape file up to the Auditor of State's office so that they can monitor our cash as well. So that's part of that fiscal year-end steps on the budgetary side. So the fiscal year '24 takeaways, we still have the House Bill 33 state funding in place. That is just finishing up the third year of a 6-year phase-in of that. We have strong cash reserves, 201 true days cash. The true days cash is important to watch, although our days cash has decreased because as our budget increased and our underspend hasn't grown by a larger amount. So that is a calculation that takes in how much budget we spend or how much our actual expenditures are, and we divide that by how many days are in the year to see that if the cash stopped coming in, how many days we would be able to continue operating. It's just a standardized way of looking at things so that we can kind of have apples to apples comparisons. Help us all if the cash stopped coming in. But we've done a wonderful job this year of aligning our resources. Thanks, Dr. Lawley, for your support on that, and aligning resources with strategic planning and with priorities that are viewed as critical. So we're working hard, and that's something that I want to continue the work with is making sure that we're looking into all of our expense and everything to make sure that we're trying to get the most ROI for everything we're doing. So I did delete this but we will have a 12th consecutive balanced budget. And I have said many, many times this year that the plane keeps getting bigger and the landing strip keeps getting smaller. So I feel like we've landed this year like a helicopter, not like a plane at all. So this, we spent a lot of work. Poor Darian, him and Lucas Meyer had poured all kinds of work into this as we came into the final minutes, and I think Darian probably lost his mind with me a few times, but I appreciate everything that he's done and hung in there with me as we looked at every way possible to make sure we maximized this the best we could. So 12th consecutive balanced budget. I think that is something that when the 2013 levy would have went in place, nobody probably could have imagined.
Right.
No.
So that is something that we should be very proud of. And if we can do it again next year, then I'm going to walk across the pond. I mean, it is, I don't know if I've got any more magic rabbits to pull out of the hat, but we'll see we'll see what we can do. So that's kind of a wrap up in a nutshell. If anybody has any questions, or if not, I can answer some questions on the fly when we get through the action items.
All right. How would you prefer the action items be done? Would you want them done as one bulk and talk about them, or do you want me to break them up?
You can do it all in one, and we'll just field the questions as if we have any on these specific items. That'd be fine.
Right.
There was a couple ads, and I'll speak to that.
Okay.
So should we keep our questions to the end?
You can ask questions now. You can ask questions when we get to it. It doesn't matter.
Let's get to the end.
You want to wait? Okay. Next on the agenda, we have a board action of a superintendent bridge contract. The board originally had Dr. Lawley staying through the end of her contract, and we had Dr. Whiteley as a consultant during the month of July, and based on who's going to be in charge and who's going to be here and giving Dr. Whiteley some more time before the school year started, we wanted to kind of flip those roles so that Dr. Whiteley will be the named superintendent July 1st, and Dr. Lawley will be available as the consultant. So any questions that come up, any bridging and helping on some specific projects, she will be available for in July. So it's really just switching who has what title, essentially, for the month of July, and that's why we have board action item A. So do I have a motion to approve the superintendent bridge contract? Second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Yes. I know you tried to give us a reason for this, but I have a little concern that I want to share. With the original plan, I believe that there's going to be a smoother transition. And I believe 30 days was what we agreed that is going to be used for that. That way, Dr. Whiteley completely take over and knows more details on some of the pain points, hiccups, areas that she will be facing. However, with this sudden change, I don't know why we want to do that now, because I'm not comfortable with this.
Okay. This was at Dr. Lawley's request, so if I could have her speak to why she made this request of us?
The 20 days of consulting that Dr. Whiteley will be doing or would be doing coincide with my vacation. I had vacation scheduled for July 3rd through July 13th, so I would return to work on July 16th. And during that time, she would also be working here in Lakota, working on building her team, understanding what's happening with the school system, getting to know things. And whenever I return on July 16th, it would be very, in my opinion, not because of anything that either Dr. Whiteley or I would be doing, it would be very awkward, because she would have been working with the team for the last 10 days or so without me here being the superintendent. So in order to avoid that awkwardness and in order to make sure that there's a smoother transition, I recommended to the board that we trade the terminology, and that I'm available. I will be here whenever she needs me here. I will be a phone call away when she needs that, even whenever I'm on my vacation. She's free to call me. We can set up Zoom meetings if that's preferable, whatever she needs to have happen to make a smooth transition. She's already been here this week when she had planned on coming as part of the 20 days of her consulting contract that the board awarded to her. So she's already been meeting with the team, getting to know each of them and learning what their projects are. And she's also been meeting with me on a regular basis. And we've been working together on making sure it's a very smooth transition. It just seemed to be something that would be very awkward for her to be here in the superintendent's office for the 10 days that I'm gone, and then me come back and be the superintendent while she's been building her team. So that's why I recommended that. But I am available. I can be here every day. I can be here one day. I can be here anytime anything happens. And we do have some things that I'm already scheduled to be in District 4 to take care of that business as a representative of the district. So we aren't leaving any loose threads hanging. So it was my recommendation to do that because of the timing of my vacation and the timing of the consulting days.
Any further questions or conversation? All right, hearing none. Adam, please call the roll.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. D?
What are we voting for?
The bridge contract.
contract.
No.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes. All right, we have treasurer's recommendations A through I. Approval of board minutes, approval of monthly financial reports, motion to adopt the 2024 final appropriations, motion to adopt the 2025 temporary appropriations, motion to approve the fund-to-fund transfers and advances, motion to approve school fees for 24 and 25, motion to replace the district motion to place, not replace, district data on Ohio checkbook for fiscal year 2025 to be updated quarterly, a motion to approve Sun Life Dental claims administration, and in accordance with board policy 6320, approval of invoices for payments then and now. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Okay, so one of the adds that I had to this was the Sun Life Dental. Dental Care Plus is who we have to handle our administrative services. That's basically when any of our staff that have dental insurance go to the dentist and those claims get sent, they would get sent into DCP. DCP would then process those, and us being self-insured, we pay that. But we have somebody that has the codes for the insurance and all that. So they have been bought by Sun Life, and so this is a 3-year contract it's actually a 40-month contract because it goes into place on September 1 all the way through, I believe it's January 1 of 28. So that was an ad. We had some language stuff that we were making sure is in place. It's actually just a bit more favorable with a 30-day termination notice versus a 60 that we had with Dental Care Plus. Price point's the exact same. So that is a price point that's maintained for the duration of this contract. The Ohio checkbook, this was something we put in place last year. We've updated this quarterly. I was very concerned, but I had PTSD from the year we had been going through a public record request that it would result in even more of those, and it has not. So that has been I believe, a great sign of the way we've done business, of hopefully getting good descriptions out there and coding things appropriately for the people that do monitor and watch and want to look into that data. But I would recommend that we continue doing that. It has not become cumbersome, or I was even concerned if it would result in need for additional staff, and it has not done that. That was what some of my treasurer peers had said they ran into when they went with Ohio Checkbook, was such a ramp up of public records, but we did not experience that, so that was great news. We do have student fees. There are student fees that are coming in place for this year. That's going for supplies at the building levels. We've worked very hard to consolidate what used to be high school fees that were 3 pages of every individual course. We've distilled that down into core, and so that we have a standardized price point on that, so that then year over year we're going to look at this as a zero-based budgeting model of if we did have an over or under, we'll be able to then in future years increase or decrease that point so that we're not building reserves. The point of this is to only capture those consumable items, and we've also added onto this, we've put in, instead of, some schools will do a $25 to $35, $40 fee is what I've been told for an insurance policy on their Chromebooks when they go one-to-one devices, which we are. We've put in a 4-year warranty that is $120 that we put in, but working with Mr. Wesley on that, he said that we would probably be able to stretch some of these devices out to a 6th year. So we're just looking at, instead of a higher price point insurance policy that would also contain a deductible, putting in this warranty, so it's kind of a better way of doing business on a cost that would have been rolled forward to the family anyhow. So we've done that. A lot of our fees in the past 4 years now have been picked up by the ESSER COVID relief funding that we had received, and over that period of time, that had totaled up to just under $2.7 million that families in the community didn't have to pay because those grant dollars, it was allowed for those to pick that up as a relief for not just a school, but also the families of the school. So
This is the first year.
This is the first year back.
Since COVID dollars, okay.
Yeah, since COVID dollars. We actually had anticipated 24, which is this fiscal year would have been the first year back, but we reworked some things to get that extra year stretched out of it, And one of the things that you will see on the transfer is that slight transfer over to the student fee is because we actually didn't quite have enough. So we had just a little bit more of the student fee. Another thing I do want to add on the high school side is the one price point also we carved out. There was essentially 4 classes that made up a big bulk of those fee items. So we did carve those out. That was a metals class, 2 ceramics classes, and then there is, I believe, a workbook. So we just put workbook because whatever that price point is what it would be for the American Sign Language class coursework. So that's how we have broken that down. We also had some miscellaneous fees added in there. There's a slight increase to the athletic fee at both the high school and the junior high levels. We have went to another different model or methodology of how we're calculating that. It's based on all participants, which we had done before, but there was a $550 amount that we were budgeting to that had been in place since
2012, I believe.
2012 since the.
or 11 or
11 or
12. It was, yeah, and as everybody knows, the cost of doing business has changed, but we have stayed with that price point and just moved expenditures into funds where they didn't belong. So we've put those back into where they belong to get that actual price point for what the cost of programming is, and then the board will pick up essentially around 75% of that, with a parent picking up 30%. But we're also carving off now a uniform cycle, because that should be, in our viewpoint, a way that a school should do business. If you're going to have athletics and extracurricular activities, a uniform's part of that package. So we have looked at a reasonable uniform cycle for both marching bands as well as the athletic programs, that if they choose to do more than that, then that would be fundraised. But they'll have a normal cycle to do those normal replacements to get out of those. And then we've also put into place a capital portion of that. That is to plan for those turf replacements, those band equipment replacements, those things that have been brought to our attention that we haven't replaced since the high school split, and there is a need for now catch-up. So in the perfect world we're trying to create, we're going to try to get into normal cycles on everything. Rotations, just like we're doing with curriculum. Everything needs to be in cycles so we don't have a lot of surprises. So we're reworking that, and that also will be in that zero-based model for the operational portion of the extracurriculars, so that if we had more or we had less, then we'll be able to reduce this year over year and not just set it and forget it like sometimes can happen when other topics pop up. So that's where we're at on the fees as well. Any questions?
I think some of my questions you might not be able to, if you don't have the answers now. Oh, it's okay.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Do you have any questions, Isaac?
I do. I do. I have some questions that maybe fall into some of the action items, or some might be outside it, but let me just ask them at once. I'm glad my first question was on the public record request, which you highlighted before. We reduced from 300 to 80, which is 120 public record requests. That's a tremendous decrease, which is good. But how much does that translate in the cost? You may not have the answer now. It's okay.
I added that when I saw the slide. I thought that is an important thing. It's such a hot topic last year. I'll get that actual number for that portion when we get to the next meeting.
Good. So that's Then the number 2 question, I had a question that a community member asked me. I don't have the answers. Whose decision was it that we had dinner with our final candidates? How was it coded, and how is it going to be expended? Paid for.
Sure.
So you might not have the answer now.
No, we've discussed that. We actually had a legal opinion to make sure of that, because that is part of the board policy. There is a board policy that allows for meals. I can't quote that off the top of my head, but we do have that allows for. That was part of the finding leaders process. That was a way of getting a very thorough process of getting to know not all of the candidates, but the final candidates, is, I believe, the reason for that. So we did make sure that it was okay on the legal side as well and a proper public purpose, so we were okay.
And the money comes out of our.
Oh, it came out of the board budget, same line that the superintendent search came out of, because that was viewed as part of that process.
It will be added to the expense for, the entire expense for superintendent search?
For the search, that's correct.
Okay.
Meeting expense.
Okay. Then my other question is, how much was insurance, how much did it go up in the last 2 years, our insurance? Does it, are we paying insurance for school buses? For the buses, or we contracted out to Peterman, right? But do we pay the insurance for the buses?
The buses are owned by Peterman, so Peterman would be the ones that would be covering that. Now, as far as the insurance trend goes year over year, I'll pull that data and I'll get that for you so you can see what the trends are looking like on that.
But we don't pay for the insurance for the buses, that's Peterman.
The buses
does.
are owned by Peterman. Now, we own the facility that Peterman is using, so that would be, an insurance policy that we would hold. Because Peterman doesn't own the bus garage. Lakota schools do.
Are you looking at all insurance, like health insurance? Or are you looking for?
Both. Health insurance. The number one question is the health insurance for our staff.
Oh, sorry about it. I was thinking the bus.
The second question
insurance.
Was the bus, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Staff are Peterman staff as well as the buses are Peterman owned. So they're not on our health care.
Okay.
No. Yeah, they show up in our general fund on the purchase service line because we're purchasing the service from Peterman.
Okay.
And so all the expense associated with that, less that facility that we own.
Which means that they do the negotiations.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Then my other question is, we have different attorney firms for different needs. So my question is, why do we have so many? Why haven't we decided to use maybe one attorney firm that has specialization in all the areas we need coverage on?
The discussion that we've had every year when we approve the attorney firms, we do that at our organizational meeting every January.
Yes.
And that different law firms have different areas of expertise that they specifically are focused on. So, and there may be, like right now, we tend to use one firm more for special ed. We use one firm for something else. So historically, we've always had multiple firms, so we have full flexibility based on what we feel the need is in that particular area.
Yeah, I remember we voted for that, but the question was, is it not possible to have one law firm that has all the specialties?
I don't believe
Because
there
at the
is
end, it
one.
might end up saving us costs instead of having different law firms.
Yeah.
We always do that at the organizational meeting in January. So one of the things that, if I'm following you right, we could ask these firms if they would be willing to solicit a year bid.
Great.
We could do that as well as the hourly. They produced that for us this year, and we put that on the contracts, which was showing the hourly. So
But we only pay when we use them.
what's used, that is
We
correct.
don't pay them.
It is paid on an
We
We
hourly.
only
per
pay
use.
them
It
when
is
we
paid on
use
an
them.
hourly
Yeah.
basis, yeah, that's,
We
we
don't-
don't have a retainer or anything of that nature.
Gotcha.
It's just a monthly bill that we get for usage.
Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Yeah, it never hurts to ask.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure there is
They
one.
may or may not be interested, but
I'm
we
not
can
sure there
ask.
is one that can do it all, but you never know.
Christina?
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks,
Kelly?
I have no questions, thank you.
thank you.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, Adam, please call the roll.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. D?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes. All right, we're moving to superintendent's recommendation, action items A through H, personnel, resolution to abolish administrative assistant to the assistant superintendent, second read of the school calendar, resolution declaring transportation impractical, an MOU for the Butler County Sheriff's Office, an MOU for the Westchester SROs, motion to approve an increase in the lunch fees of 50 cents at the elementary and early childhoods and 25 cents for junior high and high schools, and to approve donations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I have a question. Actually, I have two comments, not questions. I publicly would like to thank Mr. Brown, who's leaving us from Lakota West, for his years of service to Lakota. He's been here a long time, and he's done a great job, and we're very sad to see him go, but we also understand that he's doing what's best for him in his future career, and so we just want to wish him luck and thank him for his service to Lakota. And the other thing is, this is crazy, like I rarely look at this, but this donations, today, we are approving $1.4 million in donations from our community and our parents. And year to date, we have gotten $2.1 million in donations. That's really impressive. And so I just think that's a great.
Something we spoke about last year on this very same topic was it also doesn't include the time donation.
Right, the donation of the time, which is
That
a
would
lot
be
also.
through the roof.
Yeah, but I think that's really impressive. I just kind of wanted to point that out. I rarely look at the number, and that's a pretty impressive number.
CFO, wouldn't you?
That's CFO and me, yeah. And my phone keeps beeping like crazy. Or like,
Anyone else? Adam, I know we talked about it in finance. Do you want to speak to the change in the lunch
In the
price?
lunch.
Yes, and we actually had another change there as well. I know this is in the superintendent item, so I apologize, Dr. Lally. I did add that in today. It was also recommended, we hadn't spoke about that, but Mr. Hatfield reached out and said that he had worked with his team and they'd recommend from 50 cents to $1.75 for the breakfast price, which was an increase. What this is when the ESSER funds came through and they could do direct certification on everything, that really helped with reimbursements and with the fund balances. But the last time we had changed food price was in fiscal 18, and that was a 5 cents change. And so we've done a really good job of holding that. And then when it was trending lean, and then when the ESSER dollars had kicked in as well on the child nutrition side, that helped kind of camouflage some of that. But as we've come out of that this year, and as we're assuming moving forward, we're going to start monitoring that very closely and make adjustments as necessary to just maintain a in and out, essentially. If cafeteria is one of those funds that is currently not reflected in our forecast, if it did run negative, then by law, the general fund has to transfer to cover that. So I know a lot of schools have to do that. That is a part that we don't do, and we created a little forecast that I shared with the board that we're hoping that we can keep that from being our situation. So also mentioned that in Finance Committee that this is a big piece of the operation where a master facility plan, consolidating the footprint of how many buildings we operate, it would be assumed that we could get some operational efficiencies here that then in turn could help stabilize food costs and the delivery of those food costs to our students and parents.
So again, to your point, the goal is not to make money in food services, it's to have it be revenue and revenue
Just
neutral.
stay afloat.
And
Okay.
you're looking at trying not to do big jumps, but
Yes.
perhaps consistent ways to keep up with the
Yes.
expenses as they change.
Yeah, and this would level the junior high through high school price to a $3 flat, and then the a la carte prices are still separate from that. That's the lunch price.
Right?
Can I ask?
Sure.
For the interest of people at home, can you give us some highlight on D, E, and F? What do you mean? Approves the resolution declaring transportation impractical.
And there's a process in the state of Ohio that if someone requests transportation and it's just not practical for us to send a bus for one student to go to another location or 3 students, there's a process that is worked through, and Mr. Passarge is the one that works with the State Department and or the parent. And what happens is it's declaring that the transportation is impractical, and then we give a small reimbursement to the parent for that. And this happens throughout the year. People request it, and you'll see this on the agenda periodically.
Gotcha.
And then as far as E and F, those are our school resource officers, the contracts.
Thank you.
Do we have how many openings we currently have for our SROs? Sorry, I didn't.
Resource.
If we can get that,
We can get that from Mr. Passarge.
perfect. All right. Further discussion? Hearing none, will you please call the roll?
Mr. D?
Yes.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes. All right, closing comments, if we want to start with Christine this time.
I know we went through this already, but thank you, Dr. Lawley. We appreciate all you've done and wish you the best of luck. I know everyone is busy enjoying summer and all the things that summer brings, so I'll keep my comments short tonight.
Okay. Yeah, Dr. Lawley, thank you. We're gonna miss you, but I believe that that's not. We will still need you in the future, please. What we do, I know you're not going to hesitate, but reach out to help us. I also want to make a comment on the exit of our principal of Lakota West, Mr. Ben. I thought I'll be able to have some time with him, but I was surprised that he was exiting at this time. And I want to thank you for your service. We really, really appreciate what you've done in that school. And we wish you the best as you move on and as we welcome the new principal. Dr. Lawley, you highlighted some of the improvements that we're seeing that we should be expecting in September final scorecard. I believe that majority of it is part of, it's your handwork. And I believe that we're going to see more as time goes on. So I believe that you've made a huge impact in our community and in our schools. I'm so happy to hear this, and I want to thank you for that. Then I said that to say that Dr. Whitley is coming over, and I want to make sure that we are really, really prepared because we need to set her up for success. So anything I'm not comfortable with is not because I'm not willing to work with her or have anything against anybody, but I just want to express my concern so that we make sure we do it right. Because she's stepping into a very, very big role. And I already expressed my concern in the past, but I'm not going to repeat that. I want to make sure that Dr. Whitley is going to be able to be successful. And that's how I voted the way I voted. Not anything against anybody, okay? And I thought I should explain that so that people understand why I did what I did. Besides that, thank you so much. And we welcome I know next meeting now, Dr. Whitley will be sitting right there, and that would be great. Yeah, thank you.
Me? Again, thank you and good luck. Spend some time with the new grandbaby. Don't jump right into doing something else right away. I know, but still, do something. Do something. Yeah, you have fun. Do something fun. Have some fun. Yeah, like Christina said, it's busy in summer, and I hope our staff is enjoying their summer. And I also know that our staff is working hard in the central office to prepare for next year. So I would just a little shout out and thank them, and I hope everybody's having a good summer. You, man.
Well, I just wanted to congratulate, wish well, Mr. Brown. He will be missed. Sad to see Ben go. Kathy Bella as well. She reached out as well to me, and they were two people that last year, when things were pretty rough, took time to reach out to, just see how I was doing as well. So I appreciated that. This isn't goodbye. We'll see you again. Scott Lehman, congratulations on your new role. Also, congratulations to our 4 assistant principals from this year that'll be evolving and going into new roles as principals of the building for this year. That's very exciting for them, and look forward to the opportunity to work with them and our other new administrators. So it's kind of a sad time of year as we're closing a fiscal year, getting ready to open a new one. I've enjoyed my time with Dr. Lawley. Felt like you was going to stick around longer than you did, but this has been a long year, but a short year. I think Mr. Wesley told me when I first had Lincoln that the days are slow and the years are fast, and this felt like a fast year. So I appreciate all you've done and some of the foundational items that you've put in place. Appreciate that. Thank you. But other than that, we're looking forward to closing it down, and we'll have a fiscal year-end celebration on Monday. We'll have that on July 1st, so.
There you go. Are you
It's always,
dressing up?
yeah, I am going to dress up, and it's always one of those things that's exciting when I run the one financial report and you see all the zeros. There's only one time a year you get to see that, and it's at fiscal year. It's like the odometer turning over. I always think of it that way. So it's one of those little things I look forward to.
All right, I'm going to go before you so you can have the last word, if that's okay. Again, thank you for your service and for running in the fire. Not everyone does that, so we appreciate that. Also, thank you to Mr. Brown. He has been the principal for my children, and Mr. Lyman and Ms. Bella. And thank you to all of you as well for all you've done. It's going to be a little strange seeing some of you in green, but I'm sure we'll see you around at different events. And good luck with reformatting your wardrobe. So. Thank you to all the work that's happened in the treasurer's office. I have a new appreciation these days for how much energy and time and hours and grueling Saturdays and evenings that takes typically to close the year end when everyone else might have a little lighter load. And to echo Kelly's point, thank you to everyone who is still working in our buildings and in central office to make sure that we are all well prepared for next year. So, and with that, I will move to Dr. Lally to have the last closing comment.
Thank you. I'd like to also congratulate Mr. Brown. It's been a pleasure to work with you. I know Lakota will miss you, and I know that Mason will cheer you. So thank you for everything you've done. And I'd also like to congratulate all the new administrators, the new assistant principals we have, the new principals that we have, and anyone that's in a new type role in Lakota, and there will be a great opportunity to build a great team that will work together with Dr. Whiteley to keep the district moving forward. It has been my pleasure. It has been a very short year. There were days that I thought were really long days, but it has been truly my pleasure. And as I said earlier, I've had a very blessed career, and Lakota is part of that blessing. So I want to thank you all for that, and wish you well as you continue down that path of achievement for students and the focus on why we're here. And we are here. And I have said this for 46 and a half years. We are here for children. So that focus is on children here, and I wish you well as you continue that focus on students. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you for everything you've done. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I'd like a motion to enter into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, and 2, to prepare for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Adam, please call the roll.
Mr. D?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
And that's 7:29.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a singer. Oh my God.
We're trying to.
By the Lakers with the 55th pick. I'm like, but I need to have 25 acres. He got 50, he went in the second round.
Are you writing it down for me?
People left him on the table so he could play with his dad for 1 year, I think. That's my personal NBA opinion. When are you going on vacation, Isaac?
I just returned on Friday last week. On the 6th of July, I'm going to 2 countries.
Oh, that's when you're going. Okay.
That's the one I'm going.
July 6th, okay.
Yeah, July.
Where'd you go last week?
Tampa.
Oh, that's right, to see your son?
Okay, this is going to be a two-part amendment in order. Yeah, so. All right, we ready?
Yeah.
Can we understand what this is?
We have to amend the agenda to add security to the executive session.
Oh,
So it's a two-part process. All right, we ready?
Sure.
Do I have a motion to amend the agenda to include security into the executive session?
so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Adam, please call the roll.
Mr. D?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with security added into the executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Adam, please call the roll.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. D?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Signing off late for Dr. Lally.
One last time. You want to call the roll? Can we make her treasurer pro temp real quick?
Yeah. Adam, please call the roll.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Mr. D?
Yes.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Oh.